Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the NFL DFS week number 1 video. So in this video I will be going through my player pool for both DraftKings and FanDuel, kind of talking through all the players that are in my player pool for this week overall. It's probably going to be a little bit larger this week just because it's week 1. We don't know a lot of things kind of headed into everything, but this isn't the end all be all. So if you see a quarterback here and you want to stack them with a receiving option, a tight end option, anything else like that, you can definitely do that even if they're not in the sheet. This is just kind of a good starting point and kind of the guys that I do like in general relative to their price tag. And in this video, pretty much what I'll be doing is I kind of go through each one, talk a little bit about them, kind of why I like them. Maybe if there's like a price tag that I think is very advantageous or anything else like that. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them down in the comment section of this video and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But without further ado, we'll start over on the DraftKings side. Josh Allen at quarterback, $8,000. He's the top dog here, but definitely do like his upside going against the Arizona Cardinals this week. We got CJ Stroud, $7,500. Going against the Colts, I like that upside. Price tag's all right, so do like him quite a bit. Joe Burrow at $6,500. I really do like this price tag. Maybe a little bit tougher matchup against the Patriots. Doesn't look like T. Higgins is going to play this week. Jamar Chase kind of been doing that holdout thing, so we'll see how effective he is. But like that upside and that price tag of Joe Burrow just in general. Caleb Williams, $5,900. First career NFL start for him, but I do like the price tag of $5,900 and the potential upside that he could have. And then the last two guys that I got is kind of pay down options. Baker Mayfield, $5,600. I do like his upside quite a bit. And they go against the Washington Commanders. I think it's going to be a very good defense to go against just in general. So I do like Baker Mayfield. I like stacking him a lot with Mike Evans this week just in general. And last but not least, we got Gardner Minshew going against the Chargers, who should be better on defense under Jim Harbaugh, but do like that upside at that price tag of $5,300 for Gardner Minshew just in general. At the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, top dog, $7,800. Typically does pretty well against that Texans defense, so wouldn't be surprised if that's the case once again this week. Alvin Kamara, $6,700. This is a very, very attractive price tag. I like the matchup. Don't have too much else to say here, but I do like Alvin Kamara quite a bit this week. We'll see what his ownership comes in at. Joe Mixon, $6,600. Don't mind him versus the Colts there. There's a decent amount of upside. If he does get some touchdowns in this game, could look pretty good overall. Aaron Jones, $6,500. We'll see what it looks like with the Minnesota Vikings. Do like the matchup, though, just in general. Rashad White. I do like this Tampa Bay offense this week. I really do. Rashad White, $6,300. Definitely do like his upside. The opposite side of that game, even if you're trying to play like Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, maybe run it back with Austin Eckler on the opposite side, $6,000. Could have some pretty significant upside there as well. Ramondre Stevenson, $5,900. Looks like really good value at that price tag just in general. Maybe a tougher matchup against the Bengals, but, Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, they're probably going to lean on the run game just a little bit more this week. Antonio Gibson's kind of banged up, so should be a pretty big one for Ramondre Stevenson just in general. And then technically I have both the Titans running backs listed here. Tony Pollard, $5,900. Tajay Spears, $5,100. We'll see what it ends up shaking out like. Both have decent upside. Not bad price tags either way. Zamir White, if that Chargers defense can't stop the run once again, should be pretty interesting at $5,700. I do like Najee Harris still at $5,600. A decent amount of value there. There's quite a few value running backs this week overall. Javonte Williams, $5,500. I think he's going to be more of a bell cow than people want to let on. For this Denver Broncos team, $5,500. Definitely do like his upside. Chuba Hubbard, no Jonathan Brooks. And Miles Sanders has been a little bit banged up, so at this price tag, $5,300. Why not take a chance there? And then as we kind of get down here, I get down to Chase Brown. I think it's probably going to be more of Zach Moss week 1, but the upside of Chase Brown could be pretty attractive at $5,000. J.K. Dobbins, obviously coming off that Achilles, $4,900, but if he gets the higher end of the split, if he gets some receiving work, he could be a pretty good option at that price tag. And then we have Jamal Williams, $4,800. I do like the Saints run game just in general. If he gets in for a touchdown, $4,800. Looks like a pretty good value. Same thing could be said with Ray Davis at $4,500, who had a pretty strong preseason. And then last but not least, I just have Jalen Wright down here, who they've been talking quite a bit about in this Miami Dolphins locker room. $4,000 has some pretty significant upside. If something would happen to Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane in this game, he could have some pretty significant upside as well. And then we move over to the wide receiver position. CeeDee Lamb at the top. You have some concerns with the contract holdout there at $8,900, but as long as he's playing, I still have some interest in him. Then we have Tyreek Hill, $8,700. If he gets a lot of Tyson Campbell, it might not be the best, but it's still Tyreek Hill, so it probably doesn't matter all that much, to be honest. Jamar Chase, $7,800. Obviously, there are some concerns with the holdout that he had been having going on, so maybe he's a little bit more limited to be otherwise, but does not look like T. Higgins will play this week, so definitely do like his upside quite a bit. Mike Evans, already talked a ton about him with Baker Mayfield, but I think it's going to be a very, very good spot for him this week. Probably one of my favorite wide receiver options just in general. Michael Pittman Jr. versus Texans, $6,800. He's done pretty well versus them throughout his career, so don't have any concerns there. Stephon Diggs on the opposite side of the game, $6,700. Probably my favorite Texans wide receiver this week. And with that being said, that's not for the whole season. It's more just for this week in this matchup against the Colts. Then we have DJ Moore, $6,500 for the Chicago Bears. Uzi is a little bit banged up for that Titans team. We'll see if it's him or L'Jarius Sneed on more, but do like the upside and kind of potentially stacking him with Caleb Williams. Obviously, if you wanted to throw like Roma Doomsday out there, you could do that as well. Keenan Allen a little bit banged up at this point in time. Amari Cooper kind of in that revenge game against the Cowboys, $6,400. He does have pretty good upside on any given slate, and that quarterback room for the Cowboys, Deron Bland, is hurt. He's missing multiple weeks at this point in time. Trevon Diggs coming back off that ACL. Could be some pretty significant upside there at the same time as well. Kind of ultimately probably depends on how Deshaun Watson plays, but then we're going to move down to Malik Neighbors, $5,900. Decent price tag for the rookie. He should be the main target for this Giants team. It's a pretty decent matchup versus the Minnesota Vikings as well. Move down to Terry McLaurin. This is probably one of my other favorite plays this week, $5,600. Definitely do like that price tag quite a bit. And I don't mind the matchup versus Tampa Bay. If it's Jamal Dean on him a good amount of the time, it's probably a little bit less attractive, but I think they're going to be moving these wide receivers around just a little bit more this year. Then we have the two Carolina Panthers wide receivers. Deontay Johnson could be a target hog, but I do like Adam Thielen more this week due to the matchup. Khalil Shakir for the Bills should be a pretty good one for this week overall. I do kind of like getting some exposure to a lot of those Bills wide receivers just in general. Jacoby Myers, $5,000. I really do like the matchup just in general versus that Chargers team, so should be pretty interesting there. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's another guy that I really like the matchup for this week, and the price tag at $4,900. Do expect him to be quite involved this season. Demario Douglas, $4,800. We'll see if he plays on the inside or the outside this week. If he plays on the inside, going against Mike Hilton, probably not as good, but if he moves on to the outside, especially with some of the other injuries that they do have going on there, it could be a little bit more attractive for him just in general. Same thing can be said with Jalen Polk, who's probably going to be a starter on the outside for them this week, $3,900. As we get down here, these are kind of your cheaper pay down, your dart throw options just in general. Next guy up, Van Jefferson, $3,600. There's not a lot of competition in Pittsburgh. It's really him, George Pickens, and, Pat Freiermuth pretty much. So if they push the ball down the field at all, Van Jefferson could look pretty good this week overall. A little bit of a revenge game technically too, since he did spend some time with the Falcons. Then we have Marvin Mims, $3,500. Had some flashes last season. We'll see if it sticks this year or not, but he is cheap. And then we have Jalen McMillan, $3,300. He is expected to start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a pretty attractive matchup. Jalen Hyatt, $3,100. All you need from him is essentially one big play. Calvin Austin, expected to be one of the three primary wide receivers for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. And then we get down to the min-price guys. We got Diami Brown here at $3,000. Expected to see a good amount of action for this Washington Commanders team. So min price tag, not a guy that I like typically, but for that price tag, you could get a little bit of exposure there. Javon Baker, $3,000. Could see some time for this Patriots team. Kind of interesting to see how they'll approach that wide receiver room just in general. And then we have Andre Yosivas, probably a guy that I expect to be pretty chalky this week with T. Higgins expected to be out. And then Ray McLeod kind of running that slot for that Falcons team. There is no Kyle Pitts this week, so could see some middle of the field targets, and maybe he works in on the kick return team as well. Maybe he gets kick return touchdown, pays off in that regard. Then we move over to tight end with Trey McBride, $6,100. Do like the matchup versus the Bills. Matt Milano is out for the foreseeable future, so it is going to be pretty attractive for tight ends until he comes back, which is probably going to be pretty far later on in the season. Jake Ferguson, $5,200. Don't mind the matchup versus Cleveland. They're kind of hit or miss versus tight ends. The last couple of years, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Ferguson's definitely a good red zone target for Dak Prescott and company. Pat Freiermuth, $4,400. I do like the matchup against the Falcons this week. Like I mentioned with Van Jefferson, there's not a lot of competition to go around. It's Pat Freiermuth, it's George Pickens, it's Van Jefferson. Calvin Austin might get some here and there. It'll be interesting to see who starts at quarterback this week. There's some rumors kind of flown out that it's going to be Justin Fields because Russell Wilson's dealing with a calf injury. We'll see who it ultimately ends up being by the time we get to the lock. Then we have Cole Kmet, $4,100. I do like the matchup against Tennessee. They're pretty banged up at that linebacker position, or they were to kind of start the year. Ernest Jones got traded to them. Kenneth Murray's not good in coverage whatsoever, so there is definitely opportunities to be had there. Cade Otton, $3,800. Do like this Tampa Bay offense once again, so do want to get a little bit of exposure to some of those guys, Baker Mayfield in general. Will Disley for the Chargers, probably going to be the starting tight end. Him and Hayden Hurst going to be splitting some of those duties, but $3,100. Not a bad price tag there. If he gets a touchdown, could ultimately end up paying off. Daniel Bellinger expected to be the starter for the Giants. Decent matchup versus the Minnesota Vikings, $3,000. Pretty decent pay down option. And then last but not least, at the tight end position, we have Jatavian Sanders, mint price tag at $2,500. Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble both out this week, so he could get a little bit of extra run in week number 1. And then last but not least, we get over to the defenses. So we have the Bengals at $3,800, probably going to look like one of the better ones going against the Patriots this week overall. Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. We don't really know what we're going to get out of that wide receiver room for New England just in general. So I do definitely like the Bengals. Vikings going against the Giants, definitely could be some upside there. I like both teams in that matchup. Giants are $3,300. Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold at quarterback. There is definitely upside to be had there. And then Tampa Bay Buccaneers, $3,500. I think people are going to be underrating them this week. That Washington Commanders offensive line is not good whatsoever. It's very not good. Brandon Coleman expected to start at left tackle. Just watching some of the Senior Bowl things with him, watching some of the combine things, he is not ready to play left tackle at the NFL level. I can tell you that right now. Then we have the Falcons, $3,300. Going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe Russell Wilson at quarterback, maybe Justin Fields. Should be a pretty good matchup for them and a pretty improved defense overall too. Then we have the Bills going against the Cardinals. Some upside to be had there. It's probably not one that I'm getting too much exposure to, but just somebody in the note. And then the Chargers going against the Raiders. If this Chargers defense is improved and if they can get some pressure on Gardner Minshew and company, could be an advantageous spot for them overall. But with that being said, that's what I do have for the DraftKings side. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk through my player pool over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, if you guys are watching for FanDuel only, it's probably going to go just a little bit quicker because a lot of guys I did just kind of mention over on DraftKings, but I'll do my best to kind of go through them once again. At the top, we got Josh Allen, $9,200. Definitely do like his upside. Definitely do like the matchup versus this Cardinals defense overall. CJ Stroud, $8,500 going against the Colts. I don't mind this matchup whatsoever. I do like the upside that he could present. Justin Herbert, though, on FanDuel, he wasn't on DraftKings, $7,600. I really do like that price tag. It's also a decent matchup versus the Raiders at the same time as well. Jared Goff's on here. The Sunday night game gets moved over to the main slate apparently on FanDuel. I guess they're sticking with that this year. I might have looked at the wrong slate, but if I did do that, I do apologize. But Jared Goff, $7,500. Definitely do like him at that price tag. Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew. Do like both as kind of pay down options. Kind of mentioned that on DraftKings. Baker Mayfield, really good matchup versus the Commanders. And Gardner Minshew versus the Chargers. Like the price tag. If that defense isn't improved, he could have a pretty good upside in this game overall. Moving over to the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, $8,600, has fared really well against the Texans in the past, so do expect that to kind of be the case once again. Rashad White, $7,700, probably a little less on him on the FanDuel side as opposed to DraftKings, but still has decent upside at the same time as well. Joe Mixon, if he gets in the end zone, $7,300, going to look pretty good. Alvin Kamara, definitely do like him on FanDuel as well, $7,100. He is probably one of those guys I'm going to be getting to quite a bit this week overall. Aaron Jones, once again, we'll see what he looks like with this Vikings team. Good matchup versus the Giants, though. Zamir White, maybe a little bit more pricey on the FanDuel side, but good matchup versus the Chargers, especially if they have not improved that run defense. Just in general, $6,400 looks pretty good. Devin Singletary, $6,300. Like him a little bit more on FanDuel. Could be a little bit upside there. Decent matchup versus the Vikings. Ramondre Stevenson, good price tag on both sides, $6,200. Like the upside that he could present. Antonio Gibson's a little bit banged up at this point in time as well. Same thing can kind of be said about Javonte Williams. Do kind of expect him to be that bell cow for them just in general, $6,100. James Conner, however, I like a lot more on FanDuel because of the price tag, $6,100. Should give some pretty good volume. We'll see how Trey Benson kind of works in the early weeks of the season. Austin Eckler is actually $100 cheaper on FanDuel. So if you do like some receiving upside there, obviously you have the 0.5 PPR versus full point PPR between the two different sites. But, if they're trailing this game, could be a pretty effective overall. And then I don't mind Ezekiel Elliott at $5,800. It's a tougher matchup versus the Cleveland Browns, but I do expect him to get the bulk load of the work for the Cowboys this week overall. Chuba Hubbard, once again, there is no Jonathan Brooks. Miles Sanders has been a little bit banged up, so like the upside of Chuba Hubbard and kind of based on volume overall. Then we get down to Tajay Spears, $5,400. Don't really have Tony Pollard on the FanDuel side, a little bit too expensive for me, but Tajay Spears, relatively similar price tag to DraftKings, could have some upside there as well. Chase Brown, we'll see what it looks like between him and Zach Moss this week overall, but $5,400, you could take a shot there. And then last but not least, we have Jalen Wright once again, $4,700. Sounds like the coaching staff really likes him. They might play the hot hand with the running back room at this point in time. If something happens to Mostert or Achane early on in this game or early on in the season, Jalen Wright could be a potential DFS winner and potential league winner at the same time as well. And then we move over to the wide receiver position. We got Tyreek Hill, $9,600. Definitely do like his upside overall. Obviously, if he gets a little bit more of Campbell in this game, might be a little bit worse, but I'm not too concerned about that. Jamar Chase, $9,100. More expensive on the FanDuel side, but still like his upside with T. Higgins likely out. And then we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, $8,900. Definitely do like the matchup. Definitely do like his target upside that he can command on any given week. Mike Evans, $7,900. Just as good on FanDuel as he is on DraftKings. Great matchup overall. Definitely do like him. Devontae Adams, I got to on FanDuel. Didn't get to on DraftKings. It's just a price tag thing, honestly. Could be an okay matchup versus the Chargers just in general. If he gets the volume, could look pretty good overall. Cooper Kupp, $7,000. Do like the matchup versus the Lions this week overall. And the price tag's pretty nice as well. And then we get down to Stephon Diggs, $6,800. And he is my preferred Texans option this week overall. Drake London, $6,700. No Kyle Pitts this week, so he could definitely get some red zone equity. Michael Pittman Jr., $6,500. Definitely do like the matchup versus the Texans. He's fared pretty well against them in the past. Malik Neighbors, $6,300. He's the hot rookie, probably the main target for the Giants. Not a bad matchup for week 1 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Then we got Christian Kirk, $6,100. Didn't really get to him on DraftKings. Kind of like him a little bit on FanDuel. Been a little bit banged up as of late. Khalil Shakir, $5,400. Looks really good on both sides at the respective price tag. Could be the leading target getter for this Bills team, especially in week number 1. Then we move down to Adam Thielen. Like him, more than Deontay Johnson. The price tag's a little bit closer on DraftKings, so I listed both of them there. But Thielen, I like the matchup better this week just in general. Jackson Smith and Jigba, great price tag on both sides. Do like his matchup quite a bit. Jacoby Myers, only $100 more expensive on FanDuel. Could have some pretty decent upside versus that Chargers team once again. Jalen McMillan, kind of a cheap guy that is going to start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or at least expected to. Then we got Jess Palmer. I don't think I listed him on DraftKings, but do like the $5,000 price tag on FanDuel and the upside that he could have, especially with DJ Chark out this week as well. Then last but not least, almost a min-price guy in De'Ami Brown, $4,100. Expected to see a good amount of action for that Commanders team overall. Then we move over to the tight end position. We got Sam Laporta at the top, $8,000. Definitely do like that matchup versus the Rams. They trade away Ernest Jones, so they don't have much at linebacker now at this point in time. They're relying on some pretty unproven guys. Could be a really good matchup for him. Trey McBride, $6,400. Looks like a good matchup versus the Bills with Matt Milano out for the foreseeable future. And then we have Jake Ferguson once again going against the Cleveland Browns. A little bit hit or miss against the tight end position. Kind of depends week to week, but he is a guy that can get a touchdown and pay off in a big way. Pat Freiermuth, $5,300 versus that Falcons team. I do like that matchup quite a bit. Obviously, there is a decent amount of target share to go around for a guy like him just in general. Then we have Cole Kmet, $5,100. Like the matchup versus Tennessee Titans. Rookie quarterback might lean on the tight end just a little bit more. And then last but not least, we have Jatavian Sanders, $4,500. The guys ahead of him, Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, are kind of out, so he should have a little bit of a chance this week overall. Then we move over to the defenses. We got the Vikings at $5,000. Like the matchup versus the Giants, Daniel Jones, anytime you can get after him, it's probably going to be pretty good. Same thing could be said about the Giants defense, who I think I forgot to list here for some reason. So I do apologize for that. Then we get down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going against Jane Daniels, making his first career start behind a bad offensive line. Should be a pretty advantageous spot for them just in general. Then we have the Cincinnati Bengals going against Jacoby Brissett and company. Not sure what we're going to get out of this New England offense. So do like the Bengals quite a bit overall. Got the Bills at $4,600. Going against the Cardinals could be a little bit of upside to be had there. Chargers at $4,000. Going against the Raiders, if they can get after Gardner Minshew and company, could be an advantageous spot, and especially if that Chargers defense does look improved overall this season behind Jim Harbaugh and company. And then last but not least, we have the Atlanta Falcons, $3,600. My favorite paydown option going against the Steelers. Either a banged up Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Should be a lot of upside to be had there overall. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on my player pools for week number 1. As always, if you have any questions related to NFL DFS for week 1, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then with that being said, if there's any other major news or updates related to NFL DFS for week number 1, we'll leave that down in the comment section as well. This player pool sheet that I have right here will be posted up on my Patreon page, so definitely feel free to check it out over there. Small monthly donation, you get some access to this. You get some access to some CFL DFS content at the same time as well. You get access to my matchup sheet. You get access to the snap count spreadsheets at the same time as well. Most of that stuff will be up next week. The matchup sheet, I was a little bit running behind going into the season. Obviously, week 1 will play a major part into kind of who's lining up where and everything else like that at the same time as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have CFL DFS video coming out once a week. That will be coming out on Thursdays for the rest of the season, as the first CFL game of the week will be on Friday the rest of the way. And then I do have this video, my NFL DFS player pool video, coming out once a week. That's typically going to be coming out on Saturdays, might come out on Fridays some weeks. So just be sure to be on the lookout for that. At this point in time, I do apologize for the people that do follow my MLB DFS content. This week's been a little bit more of a cluster with kind of everything going on in football, getting ready for that season, everything else like that. At this point in time, I will not be making any more MLB DFS core pick videos for the rest of the season. There's only a couple weeks left now at this point in time, so I do apologize for that. I will still try to get some like daily notes out, maybe a daily cheat sheet out for the most part. I can't guarantee it's going to be every day, but I will put out as much as possible, and I'm going to try to make that all free for anybody that does enjoy that content at the same time as well, just kind of as an apology for not being able to get to it the last couple days as well as the rest of the season. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Prize Picks, Parlay Play, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user on any one of those three sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for this week's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day, no matter what day you're watching this on, a good weekend overall, and some really good luck in NFL DFS for week number 1.